6,000 social entrepreneurs in the continent and the world will converge. And guess we're discussing only one issue, the Africa we want, which was launched by Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma in 2013. What have we achieved 10 years later? And the answer is zero.
So then how do we get back the economy?
Nziki, the basics. Install the monarchy, because remember, once the monarchy is in charge, South Africa is a constitutional monarchy. The assets do not belong to the monarchy, they belong to the people. You know that you can't find street kids in our villages. Do you know why? Because there's a social system that absorbs those that are weak in society. Right? So the only way you can resolve the African problem, let the monarchy lead. And by the way, I'm not obsessed with this. Look at the best run countries in the world. They're all led by monarchs. Japan, Canada, the Netherlands. China is a form of monarchy because there's no elections in China. There's only one leader who is in charge. And guess what? Everybody has a blueprint. And that is why, you know what is China's vision? Urbanize rural China by 2080. And that's what they're doing. They're urbanizing. Do you know why they're urbanizing rural China? Because their biggest population is in the rural space. So they don't want the migration to happen into the towns. So they're investing in their rural. That's why, Nziki, and I'm answering your question, you cannot resolve the South African economic crisis until our economy produces and sells. But currently, our economy sells and buys. When you sell, you don't produce anything. You can't create jobs by selling. We sell our raw material and we buy back our raw material. You're not going to change the economy. Two, we have an education system that is fraud. For 12 years, our kids memorize information that has nothing to do with them. Jambali. Kom Jambali. Hey, let's say Fro say Jalian. And then 12 years later, you don't even know who Jambali is because Jambali does not exist. And then they say you write a matric examination. Do you know what the matric examination is? Is to determine whether your memorization is good or not. Not whether you carry knowledge, competency, and skill. And look at the opposite in China. Do you know I went back to my old school in Beckersdale the other day? We were 400 in the school. Today they are 1,600. So it's 1:68 in a classroom. Guess how much our government is giving that school per annum? 1.5 million rands. Do you know when you do an appropriation, Ziki, our government is spending 550 rands per student. Guess what China is spending? $50,000 per student. So the Africa we want, Ziki, cannot happen unless we have institutions. One, we have one army in Africa that has the military power to enforce the change that we want. Without that army, the world will never change. So you need a strong, that's what Muammar Gaddafi was saying, one Africa, right? One army, so that we can also engage with America and the rest of the other, military powers. But until you do that, we will not realize this vision of 2063. Two, you need African spirituality to take over religion. Religion is fraud. In the script, there's a chapter that talks about African spirituality and the hierarchy of divinity. You know what it says? It says Mutu, Batu, Badimu, Mudim. There's no gender, there's no race. Isn't that powerful? Umtu, Abantu, Amadlozi, Unkulunkulu. There's no race, there's no gender. Right? So the minute you genderize and you racialize God, you do that for an agenda. And that agenda is not original to the original agenda.